All right, welcome to the Sci-Fi Express Lane. All right, today I want to express myself about kind of another reaction to my Moon Knight Egypt presentation. Was episode or whatever it is I do on this thing. I was talking to my godson, I guess, or god brother. I don't know how you describe all that. Friend of the family, right? And we were talking about why Hollywood doesn't make this Denzel Washington Imhotep movie that somebody made as a fan flyer, and it looked really cool. And I said, to be honest, writers, we get our inspiration a lot of different ways. One of the ways is something happens to us and we just got to tell everybody. That's like tell all books. We think of something that may freak people out, scare people, horror story. We think of something that may make people laugh. Either way, it's something that causes a reaction, right? And we want to tell everybody. Then as you get into writing more, you start thinking of stuff that may sell, right? So some people are commercially driven because they want to write and be successful, right? You always see, I want my story to be like The Matrix, and even editors, they look for stuff that fit a certain energy going around in the world. Oh, zombies are played out. Don't write no more zombies. Vampires are coming back. That's what you want to write, and some people will follow the trends, and they're very successful. There's, people that do a lot of trends all the time because they have like stories they can think of off the bat, and I am sort of like that. What I kind of do is I just think of different types of stories, and when the trend pops up, then I might get the encouragement to either put the story into an anthology, submit it. I wish I had the power to put stuff in there, or finish it up and write it. When I finish a story, I got to put it out. So there's no waiting for a trend to put a story out. Once I finish a story, it's a joke that I need to tell everybody. I want people to have in their hands. I need to get feedback on it. So I don't wait for trends, but I will submit a short story based on trends and anthologies. So anyway, back to this Denzel thing, right? I don't know if people think, starting with the writers and in the film industry, sure, we could say, Hollywood would never do a film like this, right? But in reality, Hollywood's power is minimized. Hollywood still may have a big control over blockbusters and movies that go to theaters, but the level of digital and green screen work that can be done for a lower budget is amazing. And there are streaming platforms that's paying millions, so you don't have to go to Hollywood, which may control the theaters or may have a big, input on theaters. But if you want to make a movie, you can make a big movie on a low budget, on a lower budget, on a budget that was lower than it used to be, and have a beautiful time travel, space story, a period piece. So an Imhotep story is capable of being made, and it doesn't have to come off like a Tyler Perry low budget office production, which is on a telenovela, not to just Tyler Perry, to say like on a General Hospital budget. It can be on a larger budget. So that said, I think the onus goes back on black people. Why don't we make an Imhotep movie? Why aren't people producing it? Well, one, I'll go all the way to the beginning. I don't even think there's an Imhotep movie script that is being shot. Okay? So I'll start with that. It could be, maybe there is one. Then the next one would fall on, ain't nobody attaching themselves to it. I don't see no actors running around saying, yo, I got a, like Danny Glover, I got a Toussaint L'Ouverture picture that I need made. Nobody's picking it up. And then if that happens, then I don't see any black producer, Tyler Perry, Oprah, Ava DuVernay, who's the independent people? Shonda Rhimes. I don't see any of them running. Spike Lee, he ain't, leveraging his house. Robert Townsend, and these guys that do independent film and productions. I don't see Lee Daniels saying, you know what, there was some ratchetness in Egypt. Let me, in Kemet, let me sign on to this Imhotep project. Nope, I don't see it, and I don't know. I'll say this: there's two reasons why. One, the consciousness of the environment. I think as a Hotep, right? It's a lonely mentality. It's a lonely identity. We are Pan-Africanists. We get pushed back from just ignorance, people that don't, know their history as African Americans. Then we get pushed back from racists who actually know the history and want to, hide it, right? And then we get pushed back from black people who just, in my opinion, avoid commitment, right? Because commitment is something tangible. The values can be measured. And then there's black people that don't want to be measured up against those values. So I think they take a shortcut and say, there was black people in America. We ain't all come from Africa. Like that denies your Kemetic roots. Native American, indigenous American culture has their roots in Kemet. So you don't, Native American, indigenous American culture will go back at best 5,000 years, right? That's 3,000 BC. Kemet fell at 3000 BC. It became a fragment of what it used to be. By the time the Arabs got there, it was 500 BC. The Greeks got there a little bit before, about 1500 BC. But they moved into a damn museum. There wasn't nobody there. They didn't even come in to worship the Egyptian gods or the Kemetic gods. It wasn't even called Egypt until 1500. So that's why we confuse it. We call the land Egypt, but Egyptians didn't have Amun and Horus, Isis. They didn't have those gods. Kemites did, right? So when the Arabs came in, and they brought in Alibaba. They brought in Alibaba. They didn't get Islam until 600 AD. That was 1,100 years after they had been on the Nile. So they was in the Nile practicing what you could Nebuchadnezzar, Alibaba. No disrespect to the Arab deities, but that's who they were practicing when they were there. The Greeks got there. When was Jesus born? Jesus wasn't born until 0. So the Western world didn't get anything from Kemet until after. The whole Moses story, that was years before, right? He was prophetic. It was years before. That was Ramesses. You understand? So anyway, let me not go into Kemetic history. What I'm just saying is, it's not something that our people are sinking their teeth into right now in the audience. So there's not really a market for it. Number two, I don't think it's in the minds of the Spike Lees, the Lee Daniels, Oprahs, Tyler Perrys, the Ava DuVernays, the Shonda Rhimes, you name it, Spike Lee, to go out there and push it. It's not even in my mind, and I'm a Hotep. You understand? It's got to be a project of passion, like Spike Lee did Malcolm X, and it's growing. The interest is growing, but dang, it hasn't happened yet. I have a Queen Hatshepsut story that I would like to tell, and I haven't even started. I've outlined it a little bit, but you got to do research on these things, and it isn't easy. So if you want to do it right, you can't just do something simple. Now we look at the project that Kevin Hart invested in on Shark Tank, the Black Sands project, right? The Black Sands is a comic book that's very successful, and I'm pretty sure Imhotep is in there. I'm pretty sure it's diligent and it's successful. So if there is a black version of, or accurate version of the Nile Valley Kemet people's story, it may come from Black Sands, right? I keep telling my son, I said that Nile Valley civilizations, Kemet, are the civilization that gets dibs on on being black. If there was ever a black civilization in the history of civilizations, it was the Nile Valley Kemet civilization. Kim means black. They named their land black. They called themselves black people, Kemites, right? And then when they painted themselves, they colored themselves black. And I'm not talking my black. I'm talking about Michael Blackson, Michael Jordan, black, right? Look up, what's his name? Tutmosis II. He got blacker legs than anybody, and he made a point of making his legs and his leadership and him sitting in that position all relevant. It's all a part of it, and the paint lasts. This is not, this is not Sherman Williams paint. This is some paint that lasts thousands of years, not 50 years, thousands of years. So anyway, I just think that when we talk about these things, yeah, we can go conspiracy theorists and say, oh, Hollywood ain't gonna make, they ain't gonna let this movie get made. Hogwash, man. Stop. Think more than being a conspiracy theorist. Look into Hollywood. Take a realistic look at black people. You understand? Ask around. That's why I one of the things I hate about people who complain and point fingers, many times they don't do stuff themselves. And when you don't do stuff yourself, you don't know. And that's the sad thing of it. They don't know. So, and then they want to run off on these tangents. So let me not go off on conspiracy theorists, but the reality is just look around you. This is my argument. This is my side of the story. I don't think we make Imhotep or kind of any black Egyptian project until black people call for it. Whether we put it out there and ask our filmmakers, or our filmmakers decide to put it out there ourselves. It ain't gonna come from Korea, although every culture on this planet has roots in Kemet and is accurately portrayable as a black, as a black country or culture. But nope. So anyway, that's that. Let me get off of this rant. White people and Western people ain't really going to do it. People from South America don't really even have film. Could come from South Africa, could come from Nigeria, China. They have enough of their own stories. If it ain't on black people's minds, and the reason why it's really on our minds is because we've been the ones who have been oppressed because of our skin color, and they say because you're black, you can't do anything. You can't do, so to make a Imhotep picture that actually says we are black, Imhotep is, the smartest human that ever lived or walked. He created the mathematical equation pi, the earliest to use it. He built the pyramids. He's the architect of the pyramids. He did open heart surgery. Come on, this is 5,000 BC. The pyramid of King Zoser, that was Imhotep's era. That's when he built it. So I'm with understanding what black people do, but that's Imhotep is the trump card. All right, of black people's potential. All right, here's the thing: like, share, subscribe, and comment. All right, Sci-Fi Express Lane, Jeff out.